Okay, hello, Math One Focus guys. So this video is going to be changing fraction to decimals to percents. So last video we just worked on changing fraction to decimals, and so now we're going to use that. We want that skill, but then we're going to add on. And so if you take your piece of paper and cut it lengthwise into, so you end up with 3 columns. In the left we're going to call fractions. In the middle we'll call decimals, and on the right we'll call percents. And remember, the word percent means out of 100 or divide by 100. And so I'd just like you to put this little symbol, or put a 2 in between here, and put an arrow going this way and an arrow going that way. And below that, just write D2P. And it's that simple. All you have to do is count to 2. Changing fractions or decimals to percents or percents to decimals, you just move it 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to start with 5 fractions, change the decimals to percents. I'll start with 5 decimals, change them to fractions and percents. And I'll start with 5 percents and change them to decimals and fractions. We'll just go through this together, and then I'm going to make up another handout that I'm going to give you for practice, so you can practice, and I'll show you the key afterwards, okay? So this is, you can stop and do them if you want. Here's our first 5: 1/2, 3/5, 9/10, 81/100, 1 1/4. If you want to stop this and do it, if you know what to do, you can at least get the decimals here. You can stop it whenever you can and do the problems. I encourage you to do that as much as possible. So here, I'm going to show all the work. 1/2 is 5/10. Remember that from last? Times 5 times 5. And so that's 5/10 is 5/10. And 1/2 is 50%. If you ate 50% of the pizza, you ate half the pizza. And how did you do that? You moved it from here to here. You moved it 2 to the right. And so here's the easiest fraction, decimal, percent. And how do you change any decimal to percent? You move it 2 to the right. 3/5. Here, go ahead and pause it if you know what to do. 3/5. Well, I can get that to tenths. That's 6/10, which is 6/10, which is, move it 2 to the right, which is 60%. Again, hit pause if you know how to do it and check. 9/10 is, I don't do anything, is 9/10, which is 90%. Moved it 2. Now 81/100. If I can read it correctly, I should be able to write it correctly. This is 81/100. 81/100 is 81/100, which is 81%, because I move it 2 to the right. This is 1 1/4. This is, think money. This is $1.25. This is 1 25/100, which is 125%. Move it 2 to the right. How'd you do with that? Hope you did great. Okay, now starting with decimals. Again, hit pause if you know what to do. I'm going to read it. That's 7/10. I'm going to write 7/10. I'm going to move it 2 to the right. This is 70%. I moved it 2. 1 2. That's 70%. I'm going to read it. Hit pause if you can do it. This is 13/100. And move it 2. That's 13%, which is 13 out of 100. 13/100. This is 13/100. This is 13/100. Percent means 13 out of 100. You give it a try. Hit pause. This is 9/100. Move it 2. This is 9%. Moved it 2. Now here's the tougher one here. Hit pause. See if you can do it. This is 123 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. It's 123 thousandths. If I can say 123 thousandths, I should be able to write 123 thousandths. If I can read it correctly, I should be able to write it correctly. And you can count to 2. 1, 2. That's 12.3%. You just move it 2. 1, 2. D2P. When you move a decimal to percent, you move it 2. It's that simple. Think money. This is 2 and 75 hundredths. This is $2.75, isn't it? Which is the same thing as saying this is 2 and 3/4, isn't it? And then what percent is that? Yep, it's 275%. You moved it 2. Okay, then these last 5, you're going to start with percent. So again, hit pause if you can do it. 3%. You move it 2 this way. 1, 2, that's 3 hundredths, which is 3 hundredths. Isn't this 3 hundredths? Isn't this 3 hundredths? Isn't this 3 out of 100? This is 3 out of 100, 3 out of 100, 3 out of 100. This is going to be moved over to, this is 43 hundredths, which is 43 hundredths. Move it over to, not to the end, move it to 1, 2. This is 1 and 25 hundredths. It's $1.25. It says 1 and 25 hundredths, which is $1.25, if you think money. Right? Hit pause, do it. Move it to 0.06112, which is 61 thousandths. If you can read it, you can write it. And then 0.5%. This isn't 50%. This is 0.5%, which is 0.5. Move it to 1, 2, which is 5 out of 1,000, which is 1 over 200. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Or times 5 for double checking. So anyways, there's notes. I'm gonna hit stop here.